I'm now joined by a legal practitioner, Malachy Ugwummadu, to speak to us about the legal implications of the persistent power tussle at the Lagos State House of Assembly. Also joining in is New Central lead correspondent, Bernard Akede, who was on the ground while events unfolded. Good to have you both tonight. Let me start with my colleague in the studio, because you were the last person at the scene today. Did it seem like something was off with the explanation? Were there comments from the CP, the comments from the CP? Did it seem like something was off with the explanation as to why the details were removed?
Of course, Felicity, I think it definitely did seem like something was off from everybody and anybody who saw and who heard from the CP. First of all, he was stating that this whole thing was part of, an exercise to, what's the word one can use now? Basically, an exercise to maybe sanitize, if you want to use that kind of word, the police detail that have been sent out to different persons, VIPs, people, groups, generally, to call them back, first of all, to audit. Yeah, that's the word I'm looking for. It was an audit, he called it, of police officers who have been detailed to certain persons.
Did you happen to question him about the timing of that audit?
I mean, of course, it looked very, I would say it looked very convenient to say that this is now an audit. At this particular time, when all this drama is going on, we hear that Miranda's security detail have been withdrawn from her, and the CP says they were withdrawn because there is a general audit going on around the country. So they've been withdrawn. This audit is to audit the security personnel that are going around with people, audit their equipment, their gadgets, their gear, their uniform, their performance, to also audit whether or not due process was followed before they were given to those particular people. As for Meranda now, the audit has been completed in such short time, and the security details have been returned to her. And then going further, as for Obasa, still within this same particular frame or time frame, is when he also reached out to say he has received threats to his life and his family, and so he has requested security personnel. And the CP says any well-meaning Nigerian who is law-abiding, as a matter of fact, Felicity, you yourself can request security operatives to follow you if you feel that your life or your family's life is being threatened. And after investigation, if it's proven that that is true, you can have some security detail following your very beautiful vehicle.
Malachy, let me come to you. I mean, you heard my colleague's explanation as to, the announcement made by the CP, why security details were withdrawn. I want you to speak to that, but I also want you to speak to the question of an explanation for what everybody is describing as an embarrassment, not just for the Lagos State House of Assembly, but for the state government, as to what happened today at the House. Do you perhaps have an explanation?
Well, to extract or expect that I can give an explanation will be approximating me as a principal participant in the whole saga. I am not. I wish not to be one. However, as a keen observer of political development and trajectory in our country, Lagos State not an exception. I can speak to the very embarrassing situation of things, almost deflecting, if you like, undermining the high standard of practice and political engagement in the city of excellence or state of excellence, as we proudly proclaim ourselves. Now, that is putting it mildly. To put it bluntly is to say that if it is not properly managed, there are every tendency that this could result to some breakdown of law and order. Because where you now have two persons laying claim to the speakership of the State House of Assembly, and they are both able to access the hallowed chambers of the State House of Assembly, not just alone, but with their supporters, this is likely going to be a situation, particularly in the circumstances that all of these have evolved, and given the backgrounds and undercurrent waters that are passed under the bridge. So here is the point. With what has played out now, it does appear that there is a serious crack in the political cohesion of APC in Lagos State, but more importantly, in the leadership structure of that party. Otherwise, the numerous moves and interventions already made was sufficient to arrest the situation and bring it to some level of stability. But each day comes and we see the principal actors beginning, so much so that the speaker who has been, removed could come back to the same State House of Assembly and lay claim to the same seat with a corresponding assemblage of members who took that action, rectified it, reaffirmed it, insisting that it's not the speaker. What
okay,
is left
but last I checked, Obasa is already in court and has applied for accelerated hearing of his case. Has there perhaps been a ruling that we are unaware of that it might give some legitimacy to his presence at the assembly today? Is there any legal explanation that can, maybe explain today's fiasco?
Now, once you, as a lawyer, speaking as a lawyer now, once you, and I'm glad that, at least I heard him this evening say that he's a lawyer himself, even if he's not practicing. Once you submit to the jurisdiction of the court, you are expected to stay every other action and allow the due process of the law to play out fully. And therefore, if it is the fact that he's already in court, and I have no reason to doubt that, particularly with respect to the subject matter of removal, which I understand he is challenging, shall the cross of his resentment, the trust of his objection to what has happened, is simply that the members of the State House of Assembly reserve the right to remove any speaker in compliance with the Constitution, which is section 92, subsection 2C, and according to dictates of their rules, the rules of the House. So if that is the case, and you see grounds to challenge what they have done, and you have taken the most civilized action, which is to contest that in the court of the law, one would have expected that, considering his standing as a very long member of the State House of Assembly, who I understand has been there since 2003,
okay,
up to 2015, and then became a speaker for quite a while now.
All right,
He got to allow the status quo to remain.
Now, I'll come back to you in a bit. I'll come back to you in a bit, but let me come back to you, Bernard. The whole drama, what was the conversation among your peers while you were covering today's event, from what happened at the assembly to the presser by the CP?
In Gen Z language, I would just say everybody was saying a day has been hard. It's not every day as a journalist you get to see activities like this, like what happened today. From the drama, I do call it drama, I could also call it a jamboree that we saw in front of the Lagos House of Assembly up until almost immediately after that is when we got the message that there will be a press briefing by the CP to address why security details were taken away from Meranda and then eventually given back to her, and why they were also given to Mudashiru Obasa. Just like you clearly stated, it seemed very convenient to make this statement around this time. Why around this time is the question. Now, this is the time where you state that there is an audit going on of security personnel giving to VIPs to audit the equipment that they have, to audit whether or not these people made the proper requisition or request for these security detail, and that is why Miranda's own detail were taken away. And then after the audit was concluded, around this same time is when she was given back. Still around the same time is when Mudashiru Obasa requested for security detail because of,
even to a child, there's something
there clearly
not
is
clear,
there's
not
something
right about the explanation. But
exactly.
it still worries me. I'm sure it worries a lot of Nigerians when these explanations are given. Take it or leave it. That is how it is. I will go back to Malachy and ask, not to dwell on hearsay, but there is a crisis in the state with the State House of Assembly. It is worth mentioning that mediation has been ongoing. Some media outlets have reported it, so it's not really hearsay. And we also hear that some sort of agreement is in the offing. Do you know anything about that? With what has happened today also, are there any chances that mediation will work to resolve this crisis?
As a trained lawyer, I'm not given to speculations. I was not in the meeting, neither was I a party to the mediation if it ever occurred. So we deal with facts. And I align myself with the reasoning of your colleague there. It is far-fetched to begin to, characterize what happened today as some form of auditing in the police operational details. What we are tempted to believe is that so much intrigues are on at the moment. The rumor mill is also awash with the permutations and the balancing of political forces, if you like, the interface of political forces in Lagos State. So much so that there's some measure of pressure, almost enough to reverse what has happened. And if you juxtapose this with the position of members of the State House of Assembly, it appears to me that what they are actually saying, I'm talking about those you showed on your screen a while ago, what they seem to be saying is that, look, we appreciate that we have managed as a state and as a political family to regulate and moderate our activities through recognized leadership structures in the political party. We recognize that. We know them. They constitute...
A lot of politics definitely is going on.
Can I land on this point, please?
Okay, quickly, please.
We recognize them. However, we are elected members of the State House of Assembly, representing constituencies within the states. And to that extent, we have exercised what we have as constitutional rights under Section 92, Section 2C, in removing one of us, that is Mudashiru Obasa. So it will be inconceivable and politically inappropriate to have a further imposition from anywhere other than the State House of Assembly.
Malachy, it's obvious that inappropriate is not enough deterrent as it is, because what is happening to a sane person doesn't, the explanation being given doesn't make any sense at all. But we guess we'll see what happens in the coming days. We hope that some resolution will be found. Thank you for speaking with us.
Thank you for the opportunity.
And of course, Bernard, thank you for the coverage. I know it's been a long day.
It has been a long day. Thank you very much for having me.
It's our pleasure.